You're back in with Northwestern Outdoors Radio, and that wonderful music you are hearing was played from the top of a mountain. That would be Rose Freeman and her musical partner, Anastasia Allison, and we've got Anastasia on the line. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, John. I'm really excited to be here.
Well, I'm really excited that I found you on social media. I've really taken a deep dive into the beautiful music that you play in some enchanting settings here in the Northwest. And folks, if you go to the Musical Mountaineers YouTube channel or Facebook page, you're going to see exactly what I mean. Two young women. There's Anastasia with a violin. There's Rose Freeman, who has a piano, and they hike their equipment up to the tops of cliffs, to the tops of mountains, to the tops of ridges, and they play some fantastic music. How did you come up with this idea, and how long have you been doing it?
So we've been doing the Musical Mountaineers for a little over 2 years now, and I think the thing that I love the most about it is that we never really intended to become the Musical Mountaineers. We were just sort of two women minding our own business who happened to have this dream of bringing our music into the mountains. In fact, we didn't even know each other. I had a vision of myself playing my violin on the summit of a mountain, and Rose, unbeknownst to me, had been drawing sketches of pianos in the wilderness for most of her life. And we met through a very serendipitous series of events. I actually gave away a book on Instagram, which is sort of funny because I only had a few followers at the time. I really had no business doing a giveaway. And only one person entered my contest, and her name was Rose. And a few months later, we ended up meeting for coffee to talk about mountain climbing.
Right. So
somewhat unrelated. And we both figured out we had this dream. And on September 1st of 2017, we packed a keyboard and my violin and gowns into backpacks, and we headed up for what would become the very first sunrise concert of the Musical Mountaineers, and we've been doing it ever since.
I absolutely love it. And folks, you'll also see these are two very well-dressed women. They do have jackets on a lot of the time because it's cold out there on those mountaintops, but the places that you play, whether it be Rosario Head overlooking, Admiralty Inlet, or whether it be, in the North Cascades or Mount Rainier National Park, just wonderful settings. Now, I know that at some of these places you are running across people. What's the reaction when you show up and you take a violin out of your pack and Rose takes her keyboard out of hers and the two of you start playing?
So we usually perform right around sunrise, and so we've only ever had a few people discover our sunrise concerts. Most of the people who see us, it ends up being while we're hiking back down, or they just sort of happen across us as we're sort of wrapping things up. And I think that people are usually really surprised and oftentimes very emotional about discovering us. I think that there is something that really taps into people's heart, this combination of music and nature, and then the unexpectedness of it. I hope for the people who found us that it feels like this special gift. And Rose and I really believe that there aren't any accidents, and that the people who are meant to find us will. And every single time we've ever had anybody discover us, it's always this really beautiful, magical moment. And we've actually stayed in contact with a lot of those people because we share this special bond from this really beautiful moment that all of us experience together in the mountains. So it's been a very life-giving experience for us, and Rose and I both agree that the most meaningful part of the Musical Mountaineers is the connections that we've made with others.
You're listening to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. We're talking to Anastasia Allison. She is part of the Musical Mountaineers. Her and Rose Freeman, they hike up to mountains and other vistas in the Pacific Northwest, and they greet the day with a sunrise rendition of some beautiful music played on violins and on a keyboard. Let's change subjects because you're doing something else that's very unique. You've got a product that you are selling to women hikers. It's called the Kula Cloth. Why don't you explain what it is and what inspired you to bring this out into the market?
I'm really excited to talk about Kula Cloth. So Kula Cloth is the very first of its kind. It is an antimicrobial pea cloth, intentionally and obsessively designed for all the places you go. And I'm putting go in air quotes. So I'm a backpacking instructor for an organization here in Washington called Washington Outdoor Women. I'm a volunteer and have been for nearly a decade. And years ago, I was reading about leave no trace options for toilet paper because I was really frustrated with how much toilet paper I was seeing in these very fragile alpine areas. And I saw an article about women using a bandana or just a scrap of cloth as a pea cloth, basically.
Right.
And I thought, well, that's disgusting, but I'm going to try it because I'm an instructor for backpacking. And so I should at least sort of give it a try before I rule it out. And it was honestly really life-changing as somebody who is packing in a ton of stuff. It cut down on the weight, cut down on all the stuff that I had to pack out of the wilderness. And it just made me feel really comfortable and good while I was hiking. And so I started carrying around this ugly scrap of fabric with me. And to be funny, one day I was taking a photograph of this ugly scrap of fabric to send to a friend as sort of a joke.
Sure.
And all of a sudden I had an idea just pop into my head. Why isn't this a real piece of gear? And would more people use it if it was designed intentionally for the purpose that it serves? And that sort of started me on this incredible journey to launch a gear company, which now Kula Cloth has been shipped all over the world. It's been at Everest Base Camp. I mean, there are thousands and thousands of people out there using this product now, and that's pretty exciting for me.
So it comes in all sorts of different colors. It has snaps that you just attach to the backpack, but this pea cloth, the main thing is the material it's made of. Why don't you explain why that's so important?
Yeah, so it's a double-sided material. It's actually two different pieces of fabric. All the fabric is milled in the United States. So one side of the fabric is waterproof so that when you use the absorbent side, you aren't going to hands dirty. And the absorbent side is actually a special fabric that's specifically designed for the purpose of hygiene. It is a silver-infused antimicrobial triple-layer absorbent fabric. It's also quick drying. So it's really practical and intentionally made for people who are going to be backpacking or hiking or traveling or whatever it is you do in life, and you don't want to have to think about the hygiene part of things. My hope is that Kula just becomes a part of people's adventures and helps make that experience more comfortable, more enjoyable for them. And I really intentionally designed it to look beautiful. It features the artwork of local artists because I didn't want it to be something that people felt ashamed to have on their backpack or like sort of taboo. I wanted people to feel excited to talk about it and open that conversation around leave no trace and around hygiene.
Anastasia, you are truly an incredible woman. So much to cover, so little time. But folks, if you want to check out the Kula Cloth and buy one so you can take part in this leave no trace ethic, just go to Kula, spelled Kula, cloth.com. That's kulacloth.com. And if you want to hear some beautiful music that is presented in some beautiful places, just like and follow the Musical Mountaineers on Facebook and subscribe to their YouTube channels. It's just the Musical Mountaineers. Anastasia, thanks for sharing this with us today on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Thanks for having me.